Hi, guys. Hi. We have an interesting article from the New York Times here. This was December 1st, 2010, about a klezmer player, Dave Levitt. And we see here different generations. This is his grandfather. That's his grandfather. That was his father. See, there's the grandfather, the father. And there's some music from either his father or his grandfather that he is holding to pass on to his child. Lifting, and this is the New York Times, Wednesday, December 1st, 2010. Lifting aged spirits with music in his blood. When Dave Levitt was 8 and living in North Miami Beach, his parents, musicians who played the Jewish wedding and bar mitzvah circuit, often put him on stage to show off on clarinet and drums. The old people oohed and awed. This, by the way, this is about New York, Joseph Berger. This was written by Joseph Berger. And okay, we'll continue. Oh, what a beautiful young boy. And so talented, he remembers hearing. He's 40 now, and old people still throw compliments his way. But this time, the old folks are clients of Jewish Home Life Care's daytime program in the Bronx, where Mr. Levitt works Mr. Levitt works as what is called a music specialist. Quote, "I was brought up with an elderly audience," he told a visitor the other day, "and this brings it full circle. The program's 300 clients burdened with ailments like stroke, diabetes, and flawed hearts are brought by bus for a few hours of medical treatment, an ample lunch, and a frisson of fun. Mr. Levitt is the fun. On piano or trombone, he mingles standards like Stardust with Yiddish melodies, some merry like By Mir Bist Du Schön, and some drenched in heartbreak, about a lamented love or a vanished village or street. He comes from a culture that knows of vanished villages and streets. At any session, barely half the crowd is Jewish, and many of them are relatively recent Russian emigres, unfamiliar with Yiddish. But Mr. Levitt is striving to preserve a 4-generation family tradition, klezmer, the music of Eastern European Jews. Outside of work, he leads a group called the Levitt Legacy Kleztet. But he's no different from many people who let their enthusiasms infiltrate their bill-paying jobs, unite their avocation and vocation, as Frost put it. In fact, every 2 months, Mr. Levitt brings the Kleztet to the home. Each time he plays a tune like Shein Wie die Levana, that's pretty as the moon, Shein Wie die Levana. He's paying homage to his great-grandfather, Max Levinsky, a shtetl violinist who emigrated from Ukraine in the 1880s. His grandfather, Jack Levitt, a trombonist who honed his klezmer chops with the legendary Weibrecher Kapelle, and his parents. So his grandfather, Jack Levitt, was a trombonist. He honed his klezmer chops with the legendary Weibrecher Kapelle. And then his parents also were klezmer musicians. His father was band leader of the Marty Levitt Orchestra, and his mother, Harriet Kane, its songbird. It was an intermarriage of Bronx and Brooklyn. With rolling eyes and dancing eyebrows, Ms. Kane put across numbers like Litvak and Galit, which marks a geographic rivalry between more intellectual and more emotional Jews. Litvak and Galit. So the Litvak would be the more intellectual, and Galicianer, would be the more emotional type of Jews. Litvak and Galit. His parents live on today on YouTube. His father with horn-rimmed glasses and a spiraling clarinet and his auburn-haired mother, vibrant and frolicsome, a year before she died of cancer in 1985. It was his father who taught him the wiles of drawing out klezmer sounds, making a clarinet weep, giggle, or fetch, and a trombone groan or sigh. His father also left a trove of memorabilia, including 80-year-old handwritten sheet music, which he tenderly curates to pass on to his children, Ruby 7 and Quincy 5. Quote, "When my father died, I realized I had a museum on my hands," he said. The Marty Levitt sound is familiar to at least one of the home's clients, Herbert Wolf, who worked as a trucker delivering mattresses for poolside chairs at bygone Catskill hotels like Grossinger's. Mr. Wolf is a rumpled 79-year-old riddled with, by his count, 8 sicknesses, including cancer in 2 organs, but his memory is sharp. Quote, "His father was a kibitzer," Mr. Wolf recalled. Quote, do you think it'll rain if it keeps up?" he used to ask me. Then he'd say, "If it comes up, it's not coming down." He'd say, "If it comes up, it's not coming down." It would be misleading to suggest that the group of 25 that listened to Mr. Levitt the other day was as fervent as a mosh pit. With all those illnesses, there was a wary, fatalistic air about the room. And as Mr. Levitt performed, some played solitaire or read novels. Everyone was impatient for lunch, but people perked up at a haunting or lively snatch of melody. Shirley Williams, 78, an African-American grandmother who uses a wheelchair and has been coming to the program since she had a stroke, is familiar with klezmer because she was raised in an international neighborhood, quote. She was raised in an international neighborhood, and her mother worked as a domestic for a Jewish family on Park Avenue. Quote, "I grew up to love Jewish food and culture and songs like Hava Nagila," she said. Of course, Mr. Levitt, a man with a dry sense of humor, does not fool himself into thinking he is playing for connoisseurs. But the tug of childhood ghosts invigorates each weekday. But the tug of childhood ghosts invigorates each workday. Quote, "I started being around this demographic when I was a kid," he said, "and here I am again." So he's come full circle. Now we have some of the pictures here we can read. Here we go. That's Dave Levitt below is a 4th-generation klezmer musician. From left, his grandfather, Jack Levitt. Top left, a trombonist with the Vibraker Capella Band. His father, Marty Levitt, and his great-grandfather, Max Levinsky, a violinist. So that's his great-grandfather, Max Levinsky, a violinist. What do we have here? This is a sheet of klezmer music, the music of Eastern European Jews. A sheet of klezmer, the music of Eastern European Jews. Here we have Mr. Levitt entertains audiences at a center for older people in the Bronx. As a boy, he was put on stage to perform. And here he is now, as an adult. That's a beautiful little story. That was Wednesday, December 1st, 2010, the New York Times. And we hope everyone had a good Hanukkah, and a good Thanksgiving, and happy holidays to everyone. And take care. We'll see you again.